welcome to this second edition of What and Why. This time we're going to be talking what is yoga and why should I do it. So let's go ahead and get started. My name's Kira. I'm a yoga instructor, meditation teacher, and mental health therapist. We're going to go through first the background and history of yoga, some research evidence, and then specific types of practice. So in yoga, there's a huge range of types of practice. So at the end, I've kind of broken it down by activity level, and we'll talk through some of those a little bit more specifically so that you can choose the right type of yoga for you if you're interested in trying it out. So the first thing that's really, really important to know is that yoga is not just about postures and poses. Yoga is, a lot of times it's talked about like a tree because people talk about the 8 limbs of yoga, right? So on a tree, there's 8 major limbs, and here it's kind of like roots and then a trunk and leaves, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's all visualizations. But what's important to know is that postures is just 1/8 of a yoga practice. The other parts are the yamas and the niyamas, which are kind of like those morals or values that are kind of woven into a yoga practice. So you'll see things like ahimsa, non-harming, or brahmacharya, moderation, tapas, zeal for life, swadhyaya, self-study, right? So it's kind of in Sanskrit and then the English translation, but you can kind of see how these are just important values for a yoga practitioner, and you'll see these themes woven into a good traditional yoga class along with postures, along with pranayama, which are the breath practices. So prana is life force, life energy that moves throughout the body, and so the purpose of a breath practice is to work with that life energy in a specific way based on whatever that practice is. Next, you'll find pratyahara, which is turning inward through sensory deprivation, whether that just be closing the eyes to be able to turn inward, or maybe closing the ears, or, shutting off other kinds of senses. Really, eyes and ears are the ones that we do, actually by closing something off, really actually like limiting the amount of stimulation we're able to pick up through those senses. The others are usually just more like kind of mentally closing those off. We don't, plug the nose or whatever. That would not make any sense. But so that's pratyahara, is just that sensory deprivation to be able to pay attention internally, right? Cutting off all of the notifications that we get so constantly now, and just being able to tune inward, notice what's going on inside. Scientists actually call that interoception, right? It's another kind of sense that we have to be able to pay attention to our internal self. Dharana is concentration. So you'll see that woven into a yoga class often through the use of what is called a drishti, or a point of visual focus. So that's especially useful in any kind of a balancing posture, to have a drishti or a visual anchor point, something that doesn't move, and that actually helps with balance, and then also this concentration piece of a yoga practice. Dhyana is meditation. If you're interested in learning more about meditation, you can check out my video, What is Meditation and Why Should I Do It? But all of these branches are in service to samadhi, or to, in another word, it's called enlightenment, this feeling of connection or oneness with all living things. And just as an aside, it's important to remember that the posture part of the practice, so what people usually think of when they think of yoga, was actually designed to help support the body to be strong enough and flexible enough to sit in meditation for extended periods of time. Yoga does not just change the way we see things, it transforms the one who sees. It's a quote by BKS Iyengar, one of the world's foremost yoga teachers. In Sanskrit, yoga actually means connection, sometimes also translated as unity. And that's with self, others, life, higher power if you have one, It's through connection with all levels of self, right? My body, my breath, my energetic self, my mental self, right? All of those pieces in one space together, being able to coexist in peace and stillness. So what does the research say about yoga, right? These are kind of all of the history and the philosophy, but there actually has been quite a bit of research. So all the research here is from within the last 5 years, and we have mental health benefits, physical and spiritual health benefits. And if you're interested, you can actually look these research articles up online. They're free if you're interested in reading more from the actual research source. But suffice it to say that mental health benefits include just an overall decrease in mental health symptoms, specifically anxiety symptoms, depression symptoms, stuff associated with stress or distress, and then increased attentional control, executive functioning, so that part of the brain that's responsible for planning, problem solving, decision making, and focus. A lot of those benefits are the same as the ones that you'll see just for a meditation practice, and that's pretty normal. Because meditation is woven into a yoga practice. What's different from meditation, though, are these physical health benefits. Some of them are the same, as you may notice. So stress functioning, immunity, blood sugar, heart rate, cardiovascular functioning, BMI, that's all the same for a meditation practice, actually. The ones that are different here are these balance, coordination, flexibility, strength, and that comes from that asana practice, those poses and the actual postures that you do during a yoga practice. And then the spiritual health benefits over here, so increased connection, devotion, self-reflection, contentment, restraint, truthfulness, self-discipline, and non-possessiveness. You may notice a lot of overlap here with the yamas and the niyamas from a few slides ago. It's really important to notice that even though in general people experience these types of benefits, it's going to be really personal to you. So based on your life, your spiritual connections, the things that you value and that are important to you, you're going to feel that all in a really personal and unique way. Your self-reflection is going to look different than my self-reflection, and that's totally perfect and normal, and that's what we want. And it's still self-reflection, right? So even though there are these general benefits, it's all felt in a really personal way. So I've included here some typical reasons that I've heard for why people don't practice yoga. So I wanted to just kind of touch on those, just one, to recognize that they are there and, people do feel this way, and also give me a chance to kind of touch on them and say yeah, there's this barrier, but here's, why you should still give it a try. So here we go. Barrier number 1, I'm not flexible enough, right? Barrier number 2, doing real exercise, right? I'm working out, I'm doing cardio, I'm weightlifting. I'm too poor for yoga. I'm not sure how to do yoga. Yoga isn't for me because I'm not sure why I would. I'm stuck in self-doubt. I'm a Christian, or I'm too fat, right? So this too fat and not flexible enough kind of go together, right? I'm not a stick-thin, skinny person who can do splits and handstands. Well, guess what? Neither am I. Yoga isn't about putting yourself in any particular shape. It's not yoga performance, right? That's what we always say. It's yoga practice, not yoga performance. It's about being with yourself in the moment that you're in and knowing that that is a perfect and beautiful place to be. Whether you can touch your toes or not, whether you have a flat stomach or not, yoga is your chance for connection. It's not your chance for splits. And actually, the benefits of a yoga posture come from being at your edge and sitting there. Going into a deeper or more intense of a posture doesn't necessarily have more benefits. It's just about yoga being able to meet you no matter how flexible and how strong you are, right? Yoga always is there to say hey, you can keep working on your edge. You can keep pushing your edge no matter where that edge is. Moving on to some of the other barriers, I'm doing real exercise. If this is your mindset, I would challenge you to go to a flow or a vinyasa class and see if you're not sweating by the end. I'm too poor for yoga, so I offer my classes at as low as $650 per class, and they're virtual. So that's pretty low for yoga, but those are for live classes. So if you're okay doing pre-recorded, you can find some free recorded classes on my website. There's also a ton on YouTube. If you are going to YouTube for your yoga classes, I would just recommend you being really specific in the search criteria. So yoga for people with diabetes, yoga for beginners. And when we go through the different types of yoga on the next slide, you may find some other good criteria to put in there to narrow down your YouTube searches. Not sure how to do yoga. The only way to get over that barrier is just to try it out and see if you like it. Not sure why I would do yoga. I'll refer you back to those benefits we just finished talking about. I'm stuck in self-doubt. Yoga is a beautiful place to work with self-doubt. The thing that brought me to yoga is that I believed that it was a body positive form of exercise. And the thing that I realized is that with yoga, and this is with a lot of exercise, but with yoga, every time you do it, your body shows up differently, right? So it's really easy to notice the way that your body is moving more freely, more easily, opening up differently on different days. And it can be really a beautiful time of connection with both your body and also your mind, to feel like, you can do it. You can practice yoga. You can feel good in your body. You can breathe in a way that feels free, right? So maybe yoga is exactly what you need if you're feeling stuck in self-doubt. Maybe it's not, right? Maybe you need meditation, or you need to go on walks, or, spend more time with your dogs. I'm not going to say yoga is a fix-all for every person, but why not give it a try? If you hate it, what have you really wasted? Especially if you try a free class. The last one that I want to touch on is yoga isn't for me because I'm a Christian. So I've spoken on this a couple times in different meditation, mindfulness classes, and I'll say it again here. Christians have a goal of showing love, of connecting, of being humble, being intentional, being kind, and all of those are benefits of a yoga and meditation practice. Yoga and meditation are not a religion. It's a pathway to help you be your best self and your most well self, so that you can connect more deeply with yourself and with other people and with your God. So being a Christian might be a fantastic reason to try yoga. Now that we've talked about some of those barriers, I want to take you briefly through some different types of yoga practices. So I've put this on a continuum of activity. So on the left side where you see Nidra, that would be the least active form of yoga, all the way down to Vinyasa, which would be the most active form of yoga. So Yoga Nidra, no movement, you're literally lying on the ground for like 10 to 30 minutes, and it's usually a body scan form of meditation. It's also sometimes called non-sleep deep rest, and there's been so many research articles about the benefits of Yoga Nidra. In fact, I need to track this one down, but I saw one research article as part of a training that I was doing where Yoga Nidra had, it said, equal benefits to like a traditional regular yoga practice. Now, I'm not sure if that included like the strength and the flexibility part, but they said that doing a Yoga Nidra had equal benefits as doing a yoga practice plus a Yoga Nidra. So just something interesting to note. Moving your body or being active or physical doesn't always mean more benefits for you. Just as an aside, right? You're not wasting your time. You're not being lazy, right? Your brain and your nervous system do need that really deep rest. So you can think about it as kind of like hygiene for your nervous system. We'll move on to Yin Yoga. So Yin Yoga is holding sustainable postures for 3 to 5 minutes, right? Holding a place where you feel comfortable and finding that nice edge where you can just kind of rest and relax and release deeply into it. Restorative, again, the focus is relaxation and rejuvenation. You'll spend most or all of your time close to the mat. Not strenuous, but you're not holding the postures for as long as you would in a Yin class. Gentle, again, typically not a super strenuous class. There is more breath to movement. You spend a lot of time close to the mat, laying down or sitting, but there are usually some standing postures in a gentle class, whether that's like a low lunge or maybe a couple of light balancing postures. And so it's usually longer holds than like your more strenuous or more active classes, but the postures are more moderate. And there are usually a lot more like variations offered in a gentle class. You can kind of take it as deep as you want, or you can kind of lay back and not do a whole lot of work if you're wanting it to be more restorative and more gentle. Next is a hatha class. So that is kind of where we jump that line into a more active class where you're doing breath to movement. There's a lot of focus on energy and breath and the experience of holding postures, the experience of moving. You will see more active postures. You might get a little bit of a sweat in a hatha class. It really depends on who's teaching it. The next is flow. So flow is really characterized by a oneness between mind and body through linking breath to movement. So there are very few holds in a flow class because it's about creating that flow in the movement, being in the movement, kind of losing yourself in the movement. Vinyasa, the final form you see here, often used synonymously with flow, but the focus is using the breath to guide the postures. So your breath will be your cue. Should I take it a step further? Should I go a little bit deeper? Should I kind of take a step back? Should I, fold a little bit deeper? Should I twist a little bit deeper? All of that would be guided by your breath in a vinyasa class. And just between you and me, your breath should be guiding you in all of these, but that's kind of the only difference that I've been able to distinguish between a vinyasa versus a flow is this focus on the breath as the guide here. The other thing down here in the corner, you'll just see that these are the types of yoga that I teach. There are so many other styles. Honestly, the other styles are usually kind of more on the active end. So things like Bikram yoga, hot yoga, Ashtanga, Kundalini, those are other forms of yoga that you'll see, but I do not teach those types of yoga. So these are the ones that you'll find if you decide to come to one of my classes. So here's just a question for you to kind of reflect on for a second. What style of yoga is your body and mind wanting to explore? What style of yoga is your mind and body wanting to explore? And I'll encourage you to maybe back up the video a little bit more if you want to see that previous slide. Just kind of review them and ask, what kind of class would I like to take? And use those keywords in, if you do decide to do like a YouTube search, use those keywords, and you'll find those styles. There's so many yoga videos on YouTube and they're all free. But if you're looking for a live class, happy to have you. So again, my offerings, meditation, and then on alternative weeks, I do either a yin restorative or gentle class or a hatha flow or vinyasa class. And you'll see that on my website. You can sign up for those there. And if you are interested, you can find me at www.connectionsmindbody.com. You can reach out to me here at my email with any questions, concerns, or requests. It has been so lovely. And until next time, I'm wishing you peace and comfort.